After being confined for 1,000 years, a Quincy king regains his pulse, mind, and strength. Soul Society learns that the Hollows are continuing to disappear, which can harm the borders separating the living world. However, in Karakura Town, the appearance of Hollows suddenly increases with the spreading of chaos in the area. So, in order to have control over excessive appearing Hollows and save town people, 2 new Soul Reapers, Shino Madarame and Ryunosuke Yuki, are appointed to Karakura Town to secure the people from Hollows. Shino is a bold and brave girl who leaves the petrified Ryunosuke to patrol the south while she goes to the south. Ryunosuke, with no other option, starts patrolling different areas of the town. After much searching, he sits on the bridge top and wishes that no matter what happens, he does not want to encounter a Hollow. However, it remains only his wish as he sees a bloodlust Hollow right above him and starts running from it. He attempts to call Shino while running from Hollow, and when he reaches the building's top, he finds Shino wounded in a gigantic Hollow's hand. Ryunosuke gets petrified and tries to fight with the Hollows, but gets severely injured with only 1 strike. Ryunosuke thinks that he is done for, but it is the moment when our heroes join the battle in style. Inoue gives Ryunosuke and Shino first aid to stop their bleeding. Then our main protagonist, Kurosaki Ichigo, holding his new style sword, enters the field, forcing the Hollows to gather and attack them at once. As their fierce fight begins, Inoue attacks Hollows with her powers while Sado easily smashes them on a building. After that, our Quincy, Ishida, defeats several Hollows with his strong, light arrows. Lastly, our main hero Ichigo uses his most famous and stylish Bankai to end the fight in style. 2 days later, at Ichigo's house, Ryunosuke finally awakes but gets scared of Ichigo and then his own Gigai. After he meets with Shino, an Arrancar named Ebern suddenly enters the room but instantly gets kicked out by Ichigo. Ichigo follows him back and asks Ebern if he is an Arrancar. Ebern gets furious and shows Quincy's spiritual weapon. Meanwhile, in Soul Society, 7 anonymous intruders invade the head captain, Yamato's residence with half-dead Sasakibe, warning Yamato that in 5 days, Soul Society will be annihilated by Wandenreich. Which makes Yamato enraged, but before he can attack them, the group suddenly disappears. However, Sasakibe in his last moments tells Yamato that the group can vanish their Bankai. On the other hand, Ebern, still in battle with Ichigo, starts taunting and forcing him to reveal his Bankai. And when Ichigo do so, Ebern attacks with his spiritual powers to end his Bankai, but much of a surprise to him when Ichigo cuts through his attack and strikes him with his Getsuga Tensho, severely wounding, forcing him to flee. Ebern returns to the king, Yhwach. After listening to his report, Yhwach kills him and decides they will be attacking Soul Society immediately. As Ichigo returns home, Ryunosuke receives a message from Soul Society telling every squad member about the situation and orders Shino and Ryunosuke to return to Soul Society. Some days later, while Ichigo patrols the city, Nell suddenly arrives on Earth and meets Ichigo. Later, her friend Pesci also lands beside Ichigo. Afterward, they tell them about the situation that the Quincy King also attacked their world, Hueco Mundo, and kidnaps their ruler, Lady Hallibell. Ichigo and his crew decide to help Nell to save her world, but Ishida refuses because he is a Quincy and cannot help any Hollows or Arrancars. Suddenly, Urahara arrives and takes the group to Hueco Mundo. On the other hand, Quilg Opie, a Quincy captain, takes some Arances captive and then encounters a group of 3 Arrancar girls called Tre Bestia. They start attacking Opie, but within no time, Opie takes them all down. As Ichigo and others arrive there, Ichigo watches the captive Arancers rush to save them, even though they were enemies before. When Ichigo arrives at the battlefield, he finds the Tre Bestia severely injured, leaving him with no option but to fight Opie. Meanwhile, at Soul Society, it is revealed that the ones who attacked them before were Quincy's. Head Captain Yamato orders everyone to prepare for the most difficult war. On the other hand, Opie attacks Ichigo with High-Rank Hyaku and then attacks his spiritual attack, High-Leg File. However, Ichigo catches his attack and strikes him back, saying his attack is stronger than Ishida's, but not much stronger. Opi knows about Ishida but refuses to tell Ichigo about him. After that, he transforms into his final form, called Let's Style, revealing his true form. Their fierce fight continues, and Opi starts absorbing others in the atmosphere until a gigantic monster created as a fusion of the left arm of Trebestia called Aeon suddenly attacks Opi and starts beating him. Opi gets serious and starts absorbing everything, and even absorbs Aeon. As he is about to absorb everyone, Ichigo suddenly attacks him with his Bankai. Meanwhile, Ishida learns the truth about Quincy's. Whenever a Quincy kills a Hollow, the Hollow never goes to the Soul Society but gets completely destroyed, which causes tension between the living world's borders. After much dialogue, when Quincy's never stop, the Soul Reapers fight to kill them all. Ishida's brother knew the truth but did not tell him before. On the other hand, Yhwach and other Quincy's invade the Soul Society and start killing Soul Reapers. Within 7 minutes of Quincy's onslaught, almost 1,000 Soul Society warriors are killed. Rojuro Otorabashi, Rose, the leader of the 3rd Division, squares off against Nanana Najaku, the Stern Ritter Yu. Byakuya Kuchiki, captain of the 6th Division, and Renji Abarai, lieutenant of the 6th Division, engage in combat with Stern Ritter Fnote and an unidentified Stern Ritter. Seijin Komamura, the captain of the 7th Division, will compete against Bambietta Basterbine, a Stern Ritter E. Unnamed Stern Ritters square off against the other Soul Society captains. The leaders of the 2nd, 6th, 7th, and 10th Divisions release their Bankais as the battle hits a standstill. But the Stern Ritters they are battling instantly use a special medallion to steal them. The 4 captains are shocked by this incident, and the rest of the Soul Society is informed of the Stern Ritter's secret weapon. Shunsui Kairaku, the captain of the 8th Division, is struck in the eye by an unnamed Stern Ritter, while Ichigo and Stern Ritter J, Quilge continue to battle, and Urahara notices that the Stern Ritter is having trouble stealing Ichigo's Bankai. Urahara discovers a gap that enables Ichigo to try to enter Soul Society and join the battle. In a desperate attempt, Quilge attacks Urahara, Orihime, and Sado, and then locks up Ichigo in the Dangai, while he is traveling to Soul Society using his Stern Ritter abilities. All the Soul Society members are informed inside the Shinigami Research and Development Institute that Ichigo is on his way to Soul Society to aid in the fight against the Stern Ritters. It is clear to every squad member that only Ichigo's Bankai cannot be taken. Akon, the vice president in place right now, keeps tabs on Ichigo's spiritual pressure, but loses connection with the Garganta. He orders departmental workers to wait at the gate separating Hueco Mundo from Soul Society, but Ichigo never shows up. The gatekeeper of the White Road Gate, Jidamb Ikenzaka, attacks the SRDI very immediately after the proclamation is finished. It is believed that Jidamb killed a member of his own SRDI teammates. Their last cries and shouts can be heard through the soul phone that connects Akon and Ichigo. Stern Ritter J is directed to destroy Urahara, Inoue, and Chad. However, he is soon overpowered by an unknown person. Even though this person is not seen, Urahara appears to recognize them. Captain Byakuya is shockingly defeated in an unexpected change of events. Stern Ritter F remains unable to prevail even after learning the truth about his power. He shows a definite attitude shift as the arrows hit him. With his Bankai taken and little to no chance of winning, panic takes over. Upon impact, the arrows themselves awaken the target's primal anxieties. As the fight goes on, Stern Ritter F reveals his true vicious nature. Stern Ritter F releases Senbonzakura, Captain Byakuya's Bankai, against him using the medallion. Captain Byakuya and Renji collapse after almost a minute of continuous attacks, and they are in severe condition. On the other side, the female member of the Stern Ritters is also seen knocking down Rukia as well. In the midst of everything, Ichigo is still imprisoned by Quilge Opi's ability, the jail, a reishi construct that imprisons its target in an invisible area. Without any luck, Ichigo releases his Bankai, Getsuga Tensh. Once Ichigo realizes Captain Byakuya, Renji, and Rukia have been defeated, his body emits streams of green light. Kenpachi Zaraki is unusually powerful compared to the other squad captains of the Gotai 13. Kenpachi killed 3 of the squad captains while the other squad captains were battling a single Stern Ritter. He says he only wants to battle the king of the Quincy's himself, after bringing their dead bodies to Stern Ritter B and Yhwach. The person who killed Lieutenant Sasakibe, Stern Ritter O, has complete authority over his Bankai, Kokogun Ryo Rakayu. Stern Ritter O unleashes the Bankai on head captain Yamato, thinking he has won, but Yamato quickly overpowers him. Unlike his victories over the other Stern Ritters, Yhwach nearly ends Kenpachi's life. The only thing keeping him from dying is head captain Yamato's arrival in the area. After murdering Driscoll Bursey, also known as the Overkill or the Stern Ritter O, Yamato doesn't waste any time engaging Quincy King Yhwach. Despite Yhwach's confidence, the battle's environment drastically changes over the course of the next few seconds. Head Captain Yamato has withheld his Bankai up until this point, but now that the Soul Society is at its gravest existential crisis, he decides to utilize it. At the time, Ishida discovers that the Quincy Empire of over 1,000 years ago, Licht Reich, intended to exterminate all the Hollows. The Soul Society invaded the spirit world in response to the Soul Society's opposition to this scheme. But when they came up against the 13 court guard squads, it ended up being the reason for their demise. The Soul Society resolved to eliminate the other Quincy's as well in about 2 centuries to ensure that they do not interfere with the flow of souls in any way. Ishida comes to the unpleasant conclusion that there is little chance of the Quincy's and Soul Reapers ever getting along after learning about their bloody, violent past. The conflict between Yhwach and Yamato in the Soul Society intensifies as the former displays the full scope of his abilities. The head captain plans to make Yhwach pay for his transgressions when he and Yamamoto finally square off. As a result, he doesn't think twice about finally showing off his potent Bankai. When he does activate it, the Bankai is so potent that the heat wave it creates changes the moisture content of the air in the Soul Society. Yamamoto starts to leave after using Tenchi Keijin to kill Yhwach, believing that the conflict is over and that he has succeeded. Sadly, it turns out that this was a grave error. It shows that Aizen had already known what was happening above the ground after experiencing the awful spiritual presence before Yhwach finally appeared in front of him. The Quincy King assaults Yamamoto with a broadsword after taking the Bankai. Although Yamamoto attempts to fight back, Yhwach's attack proves lethal. He won't live long and die shortly. Yhwach thinks back to his past combat with head captain Shigekuni Yamamoto as he splits the man's body in half. Yamamoto used to be fierce back then, but in recent years, he has turned meek to protect his fictitious sense of justice and harmony. Yhwach declares the demise of the Soul Society in front of the dead body of the head captain, and the Stern Ritters quickly launch a savage crackdown that results in the deaths of numerous Shinigami. Thankfully, Ichigo escapes Quilge's prison and hurries to confront Yhwach. The two quickly get into a raging fight, but Yhwach easily defeats Ichigo because he is currently stronger than him. Then, Yhwach reconsiders his original theory that Ichigo fled the prison due to a psychic collision between him and Quilge. Then, Yhwach says something really odd. He continues by saying that although Quilge's jail was designed to confine foes, Quincy's cannot be contained there. After learning about himself, Ichigo is still in disbelief. Additionally, Yhwach shocks him further by revealing that his mother was a Quincy of pure blood. Ichigo becomes enraged and tries to combat Yhwach while maintaining his Qualcrease. But despite using his Getsuga Tensho, he loses to Yhwach and sustains numerous injuries. This time, Yhwach wants to kill Ichigo, but he runs out of energy after spending too much time outside of the Shadow Bay Reich and must retreat. Ichigo attempts to stop them from leaving by attacking them one last time, but he once again remains defeated. Before Yhwach leaves, he mentions Ichigo as his son, much to Ichigo's shock. We hope you've enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to be notified of future videos. See you in the next one.